Okay, so I'm going to say something that might piss some people off. As I grow older, more of the people that I know and my friends have children. But I am child-free. A lot of the times when we get together, the percentage of time spent talking about children and their children's schedules and ballet and their diets, it's quite a bit. I love my friends and I think their children are lovely, but I don't really want to talk about that for a large part of my conversation. I'm actually scared talking about this, and I might even delete it. I'm scared of bringing this up because I don't want to seem like an insensitive, terrible person that doesn't like children, but I am child-free and I don't really relate to a lot of these conversations.
The comment section of that video got me like, some parents were saying, oh, that is why when I gave birth, my friends that decided to be child-free or that don't have children, we can't relate again. Conversation cannot be going on. While some child-free people were saying, oh yeah, it's so boring, them talking about it, especially when they just start talking about it, like there's nothing else to talk about, that it gets so boring. I would like to know what you all think. That comment section, today's conversation, I actually feel like I can relate to it, so I find it very interesting, and you will find it very interesting as well. Hey beautiful people, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel. So we're talking about when you have a child, if you're a parent, what kind of conversations do you have with your friend that is not that doesn't have a child, that is child-free by choice? What kind of conversation do you have with them? Are you always having conversation of your children, of your child? Oh, my baby did this. Oh, my breast is paining me. Oh, my child, I can't sleep. Oh, you know what, my baby did this. Oh, we're going to so place to buy. So you're talking about your child. Is that the kind of conversation you have with your friend as a child-free by choice? And if you're also a child-free by choice person, do you find this conversation very interesting or annoying or boring? I'd like to know what you think in the comment section. I have few stitches to share with you all. Then I'll talk about my opinion after the end of the stitches.
Are lovely, but I don't really want to talk about.
So if you have like a basic understanding of biology and neuroscience, you will understand that when a person gives birth or has a child, they are flooded, or cares for a child, I should say, they are flooded with a hormone called oxytocin. And it's a love hormone. It's the hormone in our brain that makes us fall in love with people. It's the hormone that makes us fall in love with our children when they're born, and makes us look at those slimy, goobery little beetroots and be like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful baby I've seen in my entire life. And it's nature's way of basically making us obsessed with our children. And we're obsessed with our children for a reason, because they need to survive and thrive. This one's doing my hair. They need to survive and thrive in this world. And dating back to prehistoric times, in order for humans to survive and thrive, a parent had to be like singularly obsessed with their existence and making sure they were fed and taken care of and essentially kept alive. So now, today, that translates into mothers and parents being obsessed with their kids and being basically forced, mentally held in a grip of obsession about your child. And it does fade over time. But as a friend, I think it's important that you understand what your friend's actually going through, because it's something that they're going through. They're not necessarily singularly obsessed with their children because they want to be. They're literally biologically reinforced to be. So have a little bit of compassion. It is a long TikTok, but it's a TikTok we need to say.
Percentage of time spent talking about.
She's talking about people with children, just talking about their children, and she can't relate, and she doesn't want to offend, but it's boring. You know what the reality is? I think women talk about their children because they're sick of talking about their boyfriends and husbands. I actually don't think children are that exciting to talk about. I have some, I don't talk about them all the time, but I think you spend your 20s just talking about, oh, is he not, is he into, that you get so sick that you're like, ballet? Which ballet class does Billy do? And is Toby into tigers or dinosaurs? Because Christ, we're just so over talking about men, girl. I think it's mostly that. I think that's what it is.
Children are lovely, but I don't really want to talk about.
Okay, I have so many thoughts here, but I'll just say this. I will bet money that no mom only wants to talk about her kids either. I will bet money that that is the only thing she has to talk about. Because when you become a mom, the identity shift that you have is worse than any roller coaster you've ever been on. That's not really something that you can explain to someone who's never been through it, which is why you as a child-free person may not understand where she's coming from. Because until you have to provide everything for someone all the time, there really is no comparison. Simply to say that you just lose yourself, or you have the potential to at least. So to all the child-free people out there, if you find that your new mom friend is solely talking about her children, and that is the only thing that she has to offer to a conversation, as her friend and someone who you value as a person, and not just as someone that you value hanging out with on the weekends, maybe try to offer some of those pieces that she used to be back to her. Try to help her regain her sense of self, because the reality is that she is never going to be the person that she used to be. And your friendship is either going to have to grow with that, or it's going to have to end. So meet her halfway, help her out. Try to help her go through one of the toughest things that she will ever go through as a woman, because she already probably feels like she is failing as a friend, she's failing as a mom, she's failing as a wife, she's failing as a daughter, all of these things. Like I said, I have so many more thoughts, so if you want me to talk about those, I will, but yeah.
I am child-free, and I don't really relate to...
Go back, watch that whole video. I totally agree with everything that she's saying, but I have something to add. The number one piece of feedback I get when I say I'm child-free by choice is that I'm gonna miss out when you get older. Family is the only thing that matters. When you're 50, 60, 70, whatever, that age always changes, that you're gonna regret not having kids. But what if it's not that children and family are the only thing that matter at that age? What if it is that you have abandoned yourself for so long in servitude of those children and family that you no longer have meaningful existence outside of them? I find that really sad, honestly. If I get to 70 and don't have anything else of substance about myself that makes life worth living, that isn't a child that I should have had 40 years prior to that, I feel like I did something wrong.
If you're still watching, definitely enjoying this video, don't forget to like and comment your thought down in the comment section, and also subscribe so you can see videos like this. Okay, for me, I feel like when you have a friend, you're very close to someone, and of course when we grow up or when we are growing, our interests, our likes, everything tends to change. What we were liking, our mutual, things that we like together, we might not like it anymore. Probably I am growing up as a child-free by choice, and you are growing up as someone that wants to be a mom. So when we meet up, what kind of conversations are we having? Are you only talking about your child? How do you think that will make me feel? I feel like it is very uncomfortable, and sometimes it's boring. Yes, I will tell you that. It's very boring as a mom, always talking about your child, your pregnancy, your child, your body. There are other things to talk about to your friend than talking about. I'm not saying don't talk about that, but when you're basing all your conversations with them, you're going to lose that friendship, and they might not want to hang out with you anymore because they feel like all you talk about is your child, your pregnancy, your husband, your child, your family. You don't even talk about yourself. And there were some people that say that there is people that became a mom, they don't have any other life anymore, so they always talk about what they see around them. That is why they talk about that. Why some are saying they are actually losing their self in the process. I would say talking about just your child and whatever is going on with your children to your friend that doesn't have a child is a wrong conversation to start up with. And when you're doing it every time, it's very wrong. Very, very wrong. It's just like people that get married when they just got married, or if they are married and they're hanging out with their friends that are not married, they're always talking about, "Oh, my husband, my husband, my husband." Like, they don't talk about themselves anymore. Their conversations don't, it's not going on anymore. And that is why I see people that are married, women that are married, and when they hang out with their friends that are not married, it's always boring. There's nothing to talk about. So most of them, when they're married, they actually tend to leave their friends that are not married because there's nothing to talk about anymore. I can't tell you what my husband did last night because you're not married, you can't understand. So that is what it is with children, having children. Women that became mom, or they are mothers, they feel like conversations should always be around their children, how they love their children, how the children is annoying, how they could not sleep last night because they're taking care of their kids, how they want to buy this for their kids, how they want to do this for their kids, what their kids did to them, or showing pictures and all of that. It's a very good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but having that conversation with your friend that choose not to have children is very, very boring, and you might lose that friendship. You can have that conversation with your fellow friend that has a child. In short, you guys will enjoy the conversation. The conversation will be so awesome, so interesting. But having continuous conversation of your child to a friend that is child-free by choice, I personally feel like it's going to be boring and annoying, because at the end of the day, you're going to lose that friendship. And when you look back, you'll be like, oh, she's no longer my friend because I have a child and she doesn't. But you won't remember you're the one that pushed that away. So if you're a child-free by choice woman and you have a friend that is a mom that always talk about this, I feel like one question you should ask is that, how are you really? Like, you personally, how are you? You know, try to ask personal questions so that they can actually come out, because they might have even forgotten about themselves. They might not even think about themselves anymore. What they're thinking about is their children, their husband, you know, all of that. But I feel like when you bring out some questions from your friend, it can bring out some things that you need to know about them. So I feel like you should be the one always having the conversation and asking deep questions so that you can bring out some things from them. Because when they're always talking, oh, my child, just ask, like, how are you? Like, you yourself, like, what are you doing? How are you? I feel like that kind of conversation, that kind of questions will bring out so many things you need to know about your friend. And for mothers and people that are not child free, always try to reduce those conversations with your friends that are child free by choice, because it can get boring and you all are not going to be like on the same table. You cannot relate to some conversations anymore. And I feel like mothers and child free by choice people can be friends. Yes, they can be very, very close if they understand each other and they respect each other's boundaries, you know. And yeah, that is just for me. Yeah, I feel like those conversations are very boring and it can be annoying. I don't see what she said as a bad thing. I won't take it as a bad thing. It's not. It is her expressing herself, and I like the fact that she actually said those things out, because it happens. It really happens, and people don't say it out. They just tend to cut you off because they don't understand you anymore. You guys can't relate and have conversations anymore because, you know. Anyways, that is it about this video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe and all of that good stuff, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.